Be missed from their football field next season, and so will a young man fighting for his life in hospital. On behalf of the entire rugby league community, our thoughts go out to Adam Ritson and his family on this day. We'll be back with more after the break. Back live at the Sydney Football Stadium. Today's reserve grand final is a trans-Tasman affair. To call the action between the Cronulla Sharks and the Auckland Warriors, once again, Andrew Voss.
And thank you. And the weather conditions improve all the time here at the Sydney Football Stadium. And now the Auckland Warriors looking to pick up where the Crushers have left off in President's Cup. One of the clubs that entered the competition at the beginning of last season. The Crushers have just recorded their first title. And Auckland looking to do likewise now in reserve grade. The Cronulla side is out there. Samet, Howland, Richardson, Bell, Daylight. The halves, Wrigley, the captain, and Cairns, and their forward pack. Plenty of experience there. Boughton, Cope, Strauss, Jones, Fisher, and Stuart Pearce. Stuart Raper is the coach of this Cronulla side. And now the Auckland Warriors, a team that has basically made it a hit-and-run mission for this weekend. They flew in late yesterday afternoon. Their side is Murray, Stellardi, Vagana, Tutupu, Rapati, halves Endicott and Whittaker. And the forwards, Swan, Hanari, Tuamavavi, Mead, Lester, and Malem. Their coach is the boss of the Kiwis, Frank Endicott, who coached them at last year's World Cup. Let's go to the sideline. First up to Steve Roach.
We can best describe the conditions down here on the sideline as Stevie conditions. The Cronulla side, unbelievable side. They've really made good this season, won a lot of games at the back end of the season. And just to mention for Stuart Raper, unbelievable coaching record for him. This is his 6th grand final in a row, so good luck to Stuart.
The Auckland Warriors, 12 in a row they've won to get to this far. They're hoping 13 is not their unlucky number. Of course, they're pleased that the ground has dried out. The wet conditions wouldn't have suited their wide-running forwards and their fairly quick outside backs.
So now Auckland to get us underway, running from left to right for this reserve grade decider. Kelvin Jeffs, the referee. It's David Murray who will have us underway, the Auckland Warriors fullback, and just expanding on the point Blocker made on Stuart Raper, the young Cronulla coach, because he is a young man. He's only 31 years of age, but he's been coaching the lower grades at Cronulla for the past 3 seasons. Before that at Eden for a couple of seasons, grand finals both years, and before that Guildford in the Metropolitan Cup. So it's quite a record, and there's been plenty of miles travelled as well. This is Gavin Jones for Cronulla, 15 metres inside their own half. Fisher, the man at dummy half, there was plenty of doubts over him leading into the match. He suffered an injury last weekend, and the Sharks won their way through to the grand final, beating the Illawarra Steelers by 24 points to 8. And he's putting the leg to an early test. Now it was Pearce swinging it back to the left side. Cairns, the halfback, with a first kick. With the Zifa Rapati on the right wing for the Warriors, a very famous family in New Zealand, the Rapatis. Cairns, the kicker of the ball, was the first man there to make the tackle. This is Dallas Mead back. Tips the scales at around about 110 kilos. Long locks on the front row of Dallas Mead, and first penalty to the Auckland Warriors against Tian Strauss.
If there's a lot of experience in the Cronulla pack, the same can be said for the Auckland back line. We've seen David Murray in the top grade for a couple of matches this year. Eva Rapati, prolific try scorer. I made a big statement last year about Tony Tutupu, the number 21. I said that I thought he would be the next star of New Zealand Rugby League. I did not expect him to be running around in reserve grade. If he's as good as I thought he was, or think that he is, he should have a major impact on this game.
There's plenty across the Tasman who agree with his solo. They really do think he's a player that has nowhere near reached his potential as a knock-on against the Warriors. Cronulla will have the scrum feed here. There's a bit of talk amongst the Warriors players. Let's watch it again. From the second row, Tuamavavi.
Well, it was half by second tackle, wasn't it? Over the top, he was already grounded, looking to get up and play the football. So no luck there for the Warriors.
Just completing the roads for these two teams through to the grand final. Auckland, last weekend, defeating Brisbane by 18 points to 12. And their centre, Nigel Vagana. He scored a hat-trick of tries. 2 of those tries, long-range efforts. There's a speedster in the centres for the Auckland side. Now with it, there's Strauss back there for Cairns, and an offload for Pearce. Over the top was Logan Swan, the lock forward. An offload comes the way of the 5'8" Wrigley. Spent a season at St George last year. Now back with the Sharks as their captain. That pass has gone past Gavin Jones, and an enthusiastic chase coming through from Vagana. And Cronulla lost 10 metres on the play. for the Warriors. Everything you expect of the first few minutes of a grand final. They're all fired up. They're moving up quickly as Pearce takes them on. 40 metres out from the Warriors line. Now Fisher got the option of his kicking out of that position. Murray has turned around. It sits up nicely in goal. Chases there with Richardson. Richardson now has to make the tackle on Murray. First man he got past was Brett Howland. This Cronulla side, or the Cronulla club, the last 2 or 3 seasons have been involved in lower grade grand finals. They were the premiers in reserve grade in 94. They were runners-up to Newcastle last season.
And for the Auckland team, a great opportunity for their young players to impress. John Money, the first grade coach, there's a feeling the Warriors team might need a little bit of a clean out in the top grade. Quite a few players getting towards the end of their career. And this is where some of these players will come into contention as bad passes, pretty well retrieved. Got away, well taken by Samet, 40 metres out from his own line, takes it over halfway.
Samet, player with plenty of first grade experience as well, made his first grade debut in fact in 1993. Dion Cope, second rower, only based in Brisbane. 35 metres out. Jones now. His disappointment last weekend when Cronulla dipped out in first grade to Manly. He came off the bench then. Wrigley showing the ball on the inside to Boughton, then picks up a runner. That was Jeff Bell in the headgear. For the Cronulla Sharks, quick play the ball. Boughton then away here for Strauss. Good run from Tian Strauss. 5 metres short of the Warriors line. Last tackle, first scoring chance for the Sharks. Cairns with a kick. A high ball here for Doc Murray. He's in goal, he's up, he's lost it. It's fielded there by Tony Chilmavavi, then away, and the Warriors get out of trouble. That was a close call, 30 metres now out from their own line.
Well, I thought there had to be a question mark as to whether Chilmavavi was offside. He was in the field of play. I thought it might have come off the Auckland fullback to him.
I think Jeff's ruled that he was in goal. Oh, well, that's what he had to rule. As now Cronulla gets a chance. Cairns with a dummy. They're 15 metres out from the line. Riccardi, the ball inside to Daylight, and he has scored. Cairns did all the hard work to half-back, and Matt Daylight comes up with a first 4-pointer for the Sharks.
And coming from an Auckland mistake, beautiful work from Tian Strauss to position his support player. I'm really impressed with this former Springbok, and eventually it was Matt Daylight putting the ball over the line. Auckland are under pressure there 2 tackles later. They've come up with the mistake. There's Strauss picking the ball up. He attracts 2 defenders. Great pass back inside to Cairns. He threw the dummy. That put off David Murray. Gets the big left-hand fend out. And the ball thrown to Daylight. Good lead up.
Yeah, nice work, but the Auckland mistake tells the story. Trying to offload in traffic, not on. I did think Daylight, he just went for the line. Good safe way to go, but there was not a local player within 5-10 metres of him. He maybe had been able to bring it around to closer to the posts.
Daylight, the try scorer, playing in his 4th straight grand final for the Sharks, 93-94 in their President's Cup side, and the last 2 seasons lining up for the reserve grade grand final. So his season has been extended to the last week of September in each of the last 4 seasons.
And that's Kurt Wrigley looking to convert the try for his side. I've seen Wrigley, and a lot of his football in the fullback or wing position. This afternoon, playing at 5'8", a bit closer to the action. Quite an accomplished goal kicker.
It's a tough one. 146 points for the year, Kurt Wrigley. He's taken the ball back 22 metres. Less than a metre in from touch. The Shark supporters here as well today as Wrigley for a 6-point lead for the Cronulla side. This one is coming back. Does it have the legs? It does. Great kick from Kurt Wrigley, and Cronulla off to the perfect start. It's 6-0 over the Warriors. In grand final day, we're warming to the first grade clash between Manly and St George. The Crushers have won the President's Cup title, and right now Cronulla leading the Warriors by 6 points to 0. As this is Fisher from dummy half. Ball is offloaded for Stuart Pearce. Strong bench for Cronulla today. Andrew Pearce, who's been playing the majority of first grade in the latter half of the season. He's on the bench alongside Adam Dykes. I want to see those 2 players a number of times in this match. Comes back for Wrigley with a kick on the last tackle. That's a long kick from Kurt Wrigley. And is it perfectly weighted? It is. Back in goal is Stellardi for the Warriors. And gets to the field of play. Well, that's desperation from the winger. Good effort.
Yeah, they're entitled to be disappointed with their chase there, Cronulla. Only the one-man chase, no line. 4 and 5. Good run here from Auckland. But is it another mistake? I think it is.
Well, the first knock on here surely has to be against Cronulla. It did appear to be knocked down, and it is ruled by Kelvin Jeffs.
Still not the kind of play that you want to come up with on your own line. Tutupu trying to get outside daylight, swivels, and really his support player was going nowhere, but it came off the hands of Russell Richardson. A little bit of a let-off there for the Warriors, who are under plenty of pressure early in this game.
And here is Tutupu. Tackle just inside his own 20. Blocker on the sideline. Your impression so far of the Cronulla effort?
Well, it's been an unbelievable start for their big front rower, Gavin Jones. His experience in this game will be invaluable. He's really taking this Auckland defence on at the moment, and I have to agree with Peter Sterling. Gian Strauss's ability to offload the football under pressure has been good from the start.
Brady Malum, 25, front rower for the Warriors. Now Dallas Mead, his front row part, taking them on. Hands was like a terrier around the ankles, the Cronulla halfback. Now Murray, that kick. The chasers are offside with the exception of the winger Stellardi, who'll go close. He's overrun the football, and Cronulla come up with it. He's lost the football. Is it stripped? It was. Rules referee Jeffs, but that was a close call. Stellardi was the only chaser onside. And he had the football. Fisher comes off the field for Cronulla.
I think you'll actually see the Auckland player who commits the breach signals to the referee and says, yes, you are right. It was Nigel Vagana. He break out the football and out it came, and he said that we're warming up to this St George Manly fixture in first grade. Always in one. It's great to see the sun out. I was driving down this morning. I thought we'd be looking at a quagmire and have trouble distinguishing the players through the rain. Sunshine out here at the Sydney Football Stadium, and great to see.
Cronulla are with it on halfway with Fisher off the field. Adam Dykes gets an early entry, and Boughton standing wide, the lock forward. Almost around the outside there of Endicott. The ball had to be thrown inside, and the Warriors come back with it. It was Vagana who got to the loose ball. Now this is Malum. So most of these Warriors players are re-signed for next year. Now Whittaker pushes on there for Hanari. Another player with enormous raps from New Zealand, this young second rower, Brian Hanari. This is Dallas Mead.
All away.
Taken low there by Strauss. Here's a penalty to the Auckland Warriors. This is an opportunity for them. 10 metres inside the Sharks' half.
Very valuable penalty there for the Auckland side. It came late in the tackle count. David Murray stepping up from fullback should find touch inside the 20. He doesn't. He finds it just outside the 30, so not a particularly good kick, but a great attacking position with 6 up their sleeve.
Leicester had the free kick. Malum advances 5 metres. Can't get him to ground, Brady Malum. Now Leicester past Whittaker, past the runner Hanari, fielded there by the 5'8 Endicott, son of the coach Frank. So 22 metres out, right in centre field. Leicester away for Whittaker. Whittaker, a cutout ball there. Picked up Tony Chumavati. The Cronulla defence was there in the shape of the two halves, Wrigley and Cairns. Whittaker, inside ball this time to the fullback Murray. Now 15 metres out from the line. They trail by 6 points to 0. Here is Leicester. Leicester, almost right through the hooker. Was tackled by Pearce. Last tackle. A kick through there by the halfback Whittaker, and he's got a line dropout out of it.
Yes, he took the chance there. Whittaker, a greedy little play because there was plenty of space out wide for his outside backs. The pick up, but then the good defence there makes him force the ball or drop out. They get the ball back, Auckland. They look all right when they got the football.
Line dropout with Kurt Wrigley. Kick fielded by Whittaker on the 40-metre line. He's trying to link up here with Tutupu. He finds him now, Tony Tutupu. It's the second time these two teams have played this year. The one occasion was round 10 at Ericsson Stadium. A 4-point win to the Warriors. It was the boot of Aaron Whittaker that got them home. 3 tries all. And Whittaker is the man with a football. A show of the ball inside. Murray was the player, the fullback, who was looming up. Now 10 metres out from the line, Leicester. Here it is with Endicott. And And then thrown wide there for Chulmavavi. He's lost the ball. So just pushing that pass. It's play on no for the Warriors. Lester. Now Murray. Certainly involves himself, the fullback. 5 out from the line. They've used up 5 tackles. Endicott onto Stellardi. Stellardi pushes back. Cronulla have the football. That is Howland, the winger.
And that is great defence from the Sharks. They've had to sustain 12 tackles in a row. Auckland deciding to run the football on the last. The scrambling defence from Cronulla up to the task. They now get a relieving penalty. That will give them plenty of confidence for the rest of this match. In fact, they were able to hold Auckland out for so long.
Let's go to the sideline. Gary Belcher.
The Auckland seem to have controlled the football a little bit better the last couple of times they've had it until that last tackle mistake then. But the first 10 minutes, I guess, was a hangover from the last 12 weeks. 12 wins in a row, and sometimes you tend to forget about all the hard work you need to do at the start of the match to get right in it.
And the Sharks working here with Jones. 15 metres short of halfway. And now Pearce. It's getting there across. Whittaker came over the top with Hanari. Dykes has slotted into dummy half. It was Andrew Pearce on the previous play. Boughton has certainly found himself out wide, the lock forward. Nowhere to go that time. Adam Dykes from dummy half. 10 metres made before the defence was able to get there. It was Chulmavavi with a tackle. Last play, it's with Wrigley. Trying to place it between winger and fullback. Murray gets it on the fly. First man there is Bell. Got past Bell, past Howland. David Murray has left 4 defenders behind. Big run from the fullback. It was an enthusiastic start from the number 18 for the Auckland Warriors. And now inside Sharks territory. They just seem to be warming to their task now as here is Whittaker on there. Nice offload from Logan Swan, the lock forward. Quick exchange now for Tutupu. There's the ball out in front. No dummy half. Endicott got there. Hanari works here with Okasini, who's on. Loose pass from Okasini, fielded by Vagana. So good on his feet. Back there for Swan, but it has gone forward. It will be a Cronulla scrum feed.
There was some space out there to work in as well. Once again, it's another loose ball. A good strong tackle over the top from Dion Cope.
Just outside the 20-metre line.
He's a busy player, isn't he, David Murray, the Auckland fullback? I think we saw him play against Canterbury in the top grade in a match we covered at Ericsson Stadium. It was a pretty good run there from Cronulla. Takes it 35 out from their own line. Brett Howland out of dummy half. David Murray was quite impressive that night. He's been very good in the opening minutes of this grand final.
Made his debut in the first grade match against Manly at Brookvale. It wasn't the best of nights for the Warriors. Now, Nick Graham is on in 33 for the Sharks. He's gone into the front row. That ball has gone over the sideline.
Well, some of these passes that some of the players are throwing are unbelievable. Sometimes pressure gets to players and they start to try and do things in big games like this that they don't normally do because it's a grand final and it's our last game and I must get rid of it. And it's just not on. They've just got to play their own normal game.
Boughton Borton.
Here's Whittaker working with Endicott. Now to Tupu. He's done nicely on halfway. That was a good tackle from Ben Semmett. Here's Murray up on the line. Now inside for Vagana. He's got a nice swerve, a nice step this centre. Nigel Vagana. You'd like to know he's actually pronounced Vangana. Well, we might stick with Vagana. He's quite happy to settle for that when he comes across the Tasman. Now Lester working here with Whittaker. Whittaker, the dummy, not fallen for there by Andrew Pearce. His support player was taken out of the action. Lester, nice hands there with Swan for Stellardi. Well, Stellardi 15 metres out from the line. So Auckland have got themselves into a scoring position yet again. Can they finish off? The kick is a crossfield. Standing there, there's no challenge from Daylight. He's lost it. That's a try to Murray. Well, Daylight stood back. Cairns tried to get to the ball. Now the touch judge is in Weeks. It could only be to say it'll be no try.
Well, what's he found? Looked a fair try to me. There was a bit of a collision between an Auckland player and a Cronulla player. Kelvin Jeffs calling someone out. So this doesn't sound too good for the Auckland side. It's a great kick. Let's just watch the Cronulla players. What happens? I don't see too much wrong with it. I know one of the Cronulla players went to ground in Richardson, but, well, had to say it's not.
But I think it was a try. Rapati was the man being penalised. Ball went across, all the chasers were onside. And the ruling is that Rapati did take out one of the Cronulla players, but, gee, I think it's a tough call, and it's being questioned here by Aaron Whittaker.
That's a joke. Martin Weeks has come on again. He did the same a couple of weeks ago in a game, something that wasn't necessary. And look, I know that Richardson, I think it was, the 20, but he was just in traffic. He got caught up in traffic. He wasn't exactly knocked over or taken out.
Well, the worrying sign for the Sharks out of all of that, no one was prepared to compete for the football. There were 3 Warriors players there. It's a big call against them. Graham, away here for Salmon. Graham's the player on in 33. He's a former 5'8", and that was only a season ago that he's a 5'8". He's now one of the biggest front rowers in the game. I don't know what he eats, but I'm glad I'm not paying his bill. As here is Dykes from dummy half, wrapped up by Logan Swan. They're 5 inside their own half. Now with Cairns. He's got Boughton on his outside. They cut out Boughton. There's a little bit of risk in that pass. It's come up that way with Eva Rapati for the Warriors, and they can't get him to ground. Now he's down.
Very poor pass. There was only going to be 2 results in that one, either an intercept or the receiver getting smashed.
And Dykes penalised here. Here's the pass again of Cairns. And the Warriors go on the attack again. That's Rapati at the end of it. The kick has failed to find touch. The moan from Peter Sterling. It's a terrible kick considering it was only about 15 metres in the field of play. Let off for the Sharks, and Graham did the hit-up work. Followed up now by Jones. 5 metres short of halfway. Tackler was Hanari. Now the follow-up comes from Tian Strauss. Unusual ground for a man so experienced at 31 playing his first league grand final, Tian Strauss. Former Springbok, his first year of league. Last tackle with Wrigley for the Sharks. Goes for the centre field bomb. Murray, it was just a touch too deep. Chaser was called offside by Kelvin Jeffs. Wrigley charging through, the kicker of the football. Now with it for Rapati. Hands is there. Over the top was Dykes. The Warriors had a chance to level. The try denied by referee Jeffs, or more so by the touch judge. Now Whittaker feeding on for Hanari. Across the top there was Boughton. The Warriors with Swan. Big lock forward. Another player to taste first grade this year. Almost in a headlock there by Kurt Wrigley. They're right on halfway, the Auckland side. Murray is with it. That kick straight down the centre of the park, and one bounce to Samet. I'm sure he wanted a better result with the kick.
We got a pretty good result because the chase was good. One line going down, tackle made inside the 20. Of course, they haven't backed it up particularly well with their second ruck. Good yards made by Daylight, picked up an easy 15 metres.
Now Boughton. Nari and Tutupu in defence for the Warriors. Cronulla Sharks looking for their second reserve grade title in 3 years. Beaten in 1995 by the Newcastle Knights. With it here is Strauss. Getting across field, taking a few defenders with him. 5 tackles for the Sharks. Dykes is with it. Cairns is the man in position for the kick. A deft left footer, although it may be a little too deep. It is, so back to the 20. We'll take a break from the Sydney Football Stadium. The Sharks leading the Warriors 6-0. Of work play upfield from the restart, and almost going through the centre there was Rahehe, who's on in 32. This is Whittaker kicking. Daylight is under no real pressure. He's made a bit of a mess of it. Matt Daylight, their try scorer. Now met in the tackle of Tony Tutupu. Jeff Bell. It's up there by Gavin Hill. The match is just a little bit of spark at the moment. Another penalty. There's been a few stoppages. And Hill, the man penalised for this effort on Jeff Bell. Bit of theatrics involved on Shaw, but
yeah, I couldn't see too much wrong with that either. A good strong tackle from Hill. He was getting up to mark up, and it was the Cronulla player who was putting on the song and dance.
It has been a caution from Jeffs, basically saying next player that commits to putting on a second tackle will be sin binned. And Ridley it is with a touch finder for the Cronulla side. This is Gavin Jones. He's run it straight right from the start of this match. I guess a lot of people from the Cronulla-Sutherland Shire still getting over the disappointment of not reaching the grand final. They were certainly on a roll until they were steamrolled themselves last week by Manly. And now the reserve grade side is the one flying the flag. Such a play. Fisher is back out there now. Cairns, the halfback, busy player. This time last year was playing in the Brisbane grand final for the East Club. Now to Strauss. Wrapped up around the legs there by Rahihi. It's back with Wrigley. Last tackle, kicking for the wing of Howland. Stellati is there. Good take from the winger, Paul Stellati. He'd be well under the 6 foot mark, but he stood tall there to come up with a good safe catch, and they needed it.
And the player taking the ball out now, Logan Swan. Has played a great build for a back rower. He too has been very involved. It was mistakes like that one are costing Auckland and Cronulla. Don't have the ascendancy on the scoreboard, but so in general play. And Reddinghausen sitting in the crowd, extremely disappointed with the effort last week, with the result. And there's the Manly coach, Bob Fulton, just taking in the atmosphere of the grand final as the crowd builds throughout the afternoon.
The Sharks, Richardson, they're 25 metres out. They're poised to strike one. Senses now the Sharks. It's been a while since they've been camped at this position of the field. It's Coper standing wide. Man who can score tries. He's leading try scorer in the forwards for the Cronulla Sharks. And away now, Jones carries it to within 11 metres of the try line. The Sharks up by 6 points to 0. Fisher away with Cairns. Now it's with Wrigley. The show on the inside to Pearce. This is Bell. To Tupu and Endicott are the tacklers. Strauss. A little slow there from dummy half. Fisher. He's still out there, is he, for the Cronulla side. Auckland come up with a football, so they found themselves inside the 20. They come up with nothing, the Cronulla side. And a chance here to run the football from inside their own 20. Garner runs into some heavy defence from the Sharks out wide. And now a bit of push and shove too from Whittaker and Pearce, I think it was. Warriors with Stellati. Tupu standing. It's called forward, that pass. 8 minutes out from half-time, and Auckland are putting themselves under pressure now. 2 errors inside their own half in the last couple of minutes.
And Martin Weeks has run on again to report something. He's called that forward. One of the touch judges has.
Well, this is for what is no more than push and shove between Pearce and Whittaker.
Well, that's unbelievable. It was 2 rucks to go. Nothing happened. In fact, I was about to say that it was good work by the referee not to worry about it. Call play on. No drama done, no harm done to the game, and now we see a penalty awarded for something that should have been allowed to play on.
That's what I don't understand about this situation, Peter. The referee is 5 metres away. He's seen the drama and said, well, that's nothing to worry about. It's a grand final. It doesn't matter. You know, there was nothing in it. And yet a touch judge who was 100 miles away has come in, the flag flying to...
The other thing I think we should see, Paul, is in that situation the referee saying to the touch judge, OK, you've come on, I saw it, but I've dealt with it, let's just play on. I don't think he should feel obligated to have to give a penalty because
exactly right. In that situation, Kelvin Jeffs is as much to blame, I believe, for giving the penalty than Martin Weeks for running on.
What I'm concerned about too, as Auckland make another error, is what did Martin Weeks see? We'll take a break as we ponder that. 28 minutes gone, and the Sharks lead by 6. 30 metres out from the Warriors line. There's 6 minutes remaining. in this first half as Cairns fires along for Wrigley. Then wider on for Graham, standing in that tackle. The Warriors cover gets there. Tupu was coming over the top, along with Medi Naveo. Now 22 metres out. Last tackle for Cronulla. Will they try that bomb again? Cairns, a left footer to the in goal. Murray getting across there for the Warriors. Has to kick it dead in goal. So the challenge will continue from the Cronulla Sharks. This will be an Auckland Warriors line dropout.
Both teams more or less chipping away at each other today. It hasn't been too much free-flowing football, mainly because of the poor ball control from both sides. Haven't really got started yet, either side. Cronulla with a 6-0 lead are just doing enough to keep their noses in front.
Murray, the line dropout. The Sharks with Graham. And he's 25 metres out from the line. He was in the starting lineup last week, Nick Graham. An early chance in this match off the bench. Strauss, it's a little bit of footwork on before he gets to the line. Fisher. Here it is now with Pearce. Pearce is taking a couple of defenders with him. 5 metres out from the line. Fisher. Wrigley moved to the blind side as it's fed out there. The Sharks. It was a good pass from Bell. Sam it into the line. They're just a few metres short. They lead by 6 points to 0. Long ball there for Howland. They come off the line. Murray makes the tackle. Bit of a facial on the end of it. Last it is for the Sharks. From dummy half, they go with a kick, and the Warriors have come up with a drop ball. So Cronulla will get yet another chance.
Nigel Vagana there just couldn't control the football. Blindside attacking raid from dummy half on the last. Difficult one to take. They might have come off the boot initially, but then the knock on. And with under 5 minutes to go, a real chance now for Cronulla to go into the break with a good lead.
Fisher was the kicker of the football. Wrigley, that pass has evaded Bell. Scooped up there by Richardson. I'm not sure what that was when he first picked it up. So he did a jog on the spot. As it comes with Boughton. Tackled there by the 31, Naveo. 10 metres out.
Looking for some spark, aren't they, Andrew? Just an individual effort. A little bit flat at times, but Cronulla now, they snip an opportunity. Wide ball out.
Yes.
Taken.
And there for Howland. Back inside. They keep on the attack, the Sharks, with Bell. Good front-on tackle there from the lock forward, Logan Swan. Ended that drive. Fisher. Chance on the right side. Fisher wrapped up. The defence having none of the dummy. It was Aaron Whittaker. 5 metres out again, the last play. This is, I think, the fourth consecutive set of 6. The Sharks don't get there. So back to the 20, and a big pat on the back for the Warriors defence.
Well, I don't know whether that's the case from this last tackle, because Russell Richardson finds a lot of space in behind the line. The kick is a good one, but no cover coming across from the winger or the centre. And David Murray was a long way from the football. It was only the bad bounce for Richardson that saw him not score.
Warriors with Medi Naveo. Gary on the sideline, pretty impressive, the Warriors' effort.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, their effort in defence then, they put themselves under a lot of pressure and seemed to be defending for a solid 5 minutes, but now you can see them urging each other on just to hold the ball for 6, put a kick in and get themselves out of the pressure zone.
Shane Endicott coming in for some heavy treatment from the Sharks' defence. Strauss was there with a drive back to halfway. Last tackle, Whittaker taking off from that position, turns Daylight around. And that's Daylight, the lone try scorer in the match, gets it back to the 20. So Tupu was over the top with Endicott. Now Samet for the Sharks. Fisher almost forward there to Boughton. Gets it over the advantage line. Short of halfway. Fisher away here with it as Dion Cope. And this has been a pretty straightforward set of 6 from the Sharks. Just eating up the meters. One of the markers took off early. Could have been penalised as Fisher kicks to Stalati's wing. Paul Stalati, not much of this little left winger. Past the first man. Coming up to the final 60 seconds of this first half, the reserve grade grand final. The Warriors working out of trouble now with Vagana. Crushers won President's Cup, defeating Parramatta by 24 points to 12. It's the club's first title. Now Leicester moving it along for Endicott. 5 tackles inside Cronulla's half. The slow play, the ball coming from Endicott. It's here for Murray for the kick. He dummies to kick. Now stepping. David Murray, the fullback. Back for Dallas Mead. It's been touched there by a Cronulla hand, I thought. Not ruled by Kelvin Jeffs. And a changeover is ruled. So he'd blown his whistle already for the changeover as Cronulla took off downfield.
I agree. I'm almost certain there was a Cronulla hand in there which would have allowed the Auckland Warriors to have the final couple of plays in this first half. Now the Sharks, they might even try a long-range field goal if they can get within 30 to 40. They've only got 15 seconds left on the clock, so it would have to be the next ruck as Bowden makes a good charge. This should be the final play.
It will be a big kick if they do try it. And with it is Pearce. That's Andrew Pearce. All good defence from the Warriors on the 30, although Jeffs may have found something in this. Half-time siren sounding now, but there's going to be a caution here to Logan Swan. Well, they won't get a shot at field goal. What they will get is a shot at goal for an extra 2.
Which is better still, and of course, if this is successful, it would put Cronulla in a situation where the opposition need to score twice to get in front in this game, and Logan Swan here, well, that's a very silly play. 30 metres out in front of your own post with under 10 seconds to go in a half of football.
It was criminal from Logan Swan, and the referee basically had to act. It was just silly play from the lock forward. He's had a good first half. And that right on the hooner. So Wrigley, who landed his first one from the sideline, has a chance from 30 metres out. That's Stuart Raper, the coach for the Sharks.
After Wrigley's first kick, you would have to imagine a strong chance of putting this one over. Magnificent conversion from the sideline on Daylight's try. This one obviously a much easier attempt.
He was a member of that reserve grade winning side in 94. 1 year last year with the Dragons and back with the Sharks. This one 30 metres out. An 8-point lead for half-time. He's certainly taking his time, Kurt Wrigley. It's on its way now, and it is wide from Kurt Wrigley. And David Murray, it's not over yet in the first half. Murray stepping. Well, this could be a sensational end of the half with David Murray, who's been just about the Warriors' best. Tackled to finish the first 35 minutes. And Cronulla, they go to the break leading by 6 points to 0. What we'll do is take a break on Grand Final Day.
Back at the Sydney Football Stadium live, we're at half-time in the reserve grade grand final, and that is the St George bus. It's just turned up here, and so far the players haven't been allowed out of the bus. I hope it's not a case, Paul Vorton and Peter Sterling, of the door being locked, but I'm sure it's not the case.
Well, I've got no doubt, Pete. It's the last few words being said. They're very emotional times, these, and you know, get the last probably few minutes to yourselves in the bus there before you go through the crowd. Lots of support and cheering about to happen for them, and David Waite probably saying a few words to them.
I actually think it's more a situation of Bob Fulton doing anything to win a game of football. He's locked the bus. Although we did see three Nathan Browns leave the bus earlier. As Jeff Tooby, the captain of the Manly side, takes his team through. Jim Sedaris, who was outstanding last week. David Gillespie playing his last game of football. Nick Kossev, interested to see whether he will start the game in the half or 5'8" position, and once again, Lions come off the bench. On Hopawate.
Danny Moore.
Well, that was a little earlier. The Manly team arrived. They've been here for about 15, 20 minutes or so, but of course a lot of question marks around Matthew Ridge.
Well, that's right. Matthew Ridge, heavily concussed in last week's game. Some calls from the Medical Association saying that he shouldn't play, but as they pointed out, those diagnoses were made by people a long, long way away from where Matthew Ridge was. And obviously he would not be playing unless the medical staff from Manly said he was okay.
Okay, well, we've got a bit of an arm wrestle out here between the two teams, Cronulla and, of course, the Auckland Warriors. How do you see it going in the second half, Paul?
Well, Cronulla's only got to hold on to the football to win this game, but in saying that, Auckland aren't playing too bad when they control the ball either. But it's been a pretty dour affair, but I think it'll spark up in the second half. If I was coaching either one of these sides, I'd be disappointed in the way they've played. The commitment's been there, but their ball control has been abysmal. And
of course, the biggest call in this game has gone against Auckland. We believe that there was a fair try scored by them. They trail now 6 points to 0. They'll breathe a little bit easier the fact that Wrigley missed that kick from in front in the last seconds of the game. But it may well be a situation where it should be 6-all.
Both teams look as if they're looking for one person to put in a terrific individual performance to get the whole thing running.
Well, that's right. I mean, Cronulla, I don't know who they're going to look to. Maybe Paul Fisher out of dummy half can do something. The halfback, Cairns, is having quite a good game. And Ben Semmett, you know, he's a David Peachey-like player. He can make 40, 50-metre busts. Haven't seen much of that so far. And I think for Auckland, David Murray's been their best. There's the stats there. Not too much in that, although it looks like Auckland have done the bulk of the tackling.
And the handling errors against the side as well. That's been the biggest bugbear for them in the first 40 minutes. 9 handling errors. And we see the St George players have got through the door. And Adrian Brunker, who's been outstanding during this final series, just getting his gear. And nervous times for these guys. Plenty of fans out there to greet their heroes. Lance Thompson, schoolboy, stunning for the HSC at the moment, looking to emulate Tim Brasher, the only other player still at school to play in a grand final.
Both these teams have got outstanding back rows. I mean, that's going to be one of the highlights, I think, of this grand final. The back rows are just terrific.
They're saying blokes like Terry Randall, for example, who's the best back row of all time at Manly, is saying that the current Manly back row is the best in the history of the club. And it's been going since 1947. They've had some good ones, but this one has just got it all. They've got great defence and great attacking options.
A big plus for St George. It's not the fact that Jason Stevens is on crutches, but David Barnhill returning today. He's been missed the last couple of weeks. Plenty of first-grade experience, very, very tough forward. Nick Zisti there. And you've got to say that the strength of St George as well are their forwards, the fact that they've got so many good players coming off the bench and that the workload is being shared around so nicely.
Well, that's a little later. The first-grade grand final, meanwhile, at half-time in the reserve-grade grand final, back at the Sydney Football Stadium in just a few moments' time. Back at the Sydney Football Stadium, Cronulla leading Auckland 6-0 at the half-time break in the reserve-grade grand final. To call the second half once again, here is Andrew Voss.
A little more gloomy now here at the stadium for the start of this second half. Jeffs blows time on, shuffling from left to right. And it's David Murray with the first touch, and now Brian Hanari back to the 20-metre line. Just the one try in the first half off an Auckland error. Quick turnover. Shane Cairns got things going for the Sharks. Linked up with Matt Daylight, their winger. And a sideline conversion from Wrigley. Here's a penalty going the way of the Auckland Warriors. Against Stuart Pearce in that tackle. Tony Tuamavavi had the ball stripped away. And just an observation too on this crowd, which is obviously building as we get closer to first grade kickoff. I can say right now that looking around there is a vast majority of red and white. So St George will have the big support come the first grade kickoff as Whittaker and Mead. Warriors looking to score first in this second half.
And just looking out to the west, Andrew, whilst the weather has cleared over the last few hours after some heavy overnight rain, there's some huge black clouds looming and the westerly winds are driving them in. It wouldn't surprise me if it rains fairly hard very soon.
Swan. Paddy Wilkie. Swan is almost over the sideline. He's 10 metres out from the line. And now Vagana. Across here. The second row. Oh, it's a good ball. And the Warriors will score. It's Aaron Whittaker. Oh, it was a great ball. I think it was Tuamavavi who offloaded. And Whittaker has scored straight after half-time.
Great start to the second half. Beautiful lead-up. The Auckland Warriors, they can score a try. They've got some very good ball players. And you see that the Cronulla defence in the one line. They went low. That allowed the ball to be thrown. And 2 and 3 missed tackles. In fact, they got in each other's way before Whittaker was able to score under the post. Beautiful ball from Tuamavavi.
Yeah, good stuff from Chewy. And the Cronulla defence just fell apart. I mean, this bloke is a first-grade standard. What he's doing down in this grade is beyond me, but some poor misses here. Boughton misses him first, and then Semmett just couldn't get there. Pretty ordinary positioning there from Semmett.
Yeah, just on Tony Tuamavavi, he played 21 of 22 first-grade matches last year and has hardly been cited in 96. Here's Whittaker. 158 points for the year. He's 8 metres out, right in front, and it's all level. 6 points all. We've had only 2.5 minutes of the second half. So Cronulla. That was not what Coach Stuart Raper would have expected straight after the break. Shortly we'll hear from Gary and Steve Roach. 6-all the score in reserve grade. Right now we welcome our South Australian, Western Australian and Victorian viewers to Grand Final Day 1996. We're watching the reserve grade Grand Final between the Auckland Warriors and the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. We've had one Grand Final decided already. South Queensland defeating Parramatta by 24 points to 12. 6-all right now, the Sharks and the Warriors. And counting down to first grade, Manly and St George. We'll go to the sideline right now, Stephen Roach.
Yeah, well, Cronulla Sharks coach Stuart Raper wasn't that happy with their first up performance in the first half. He wanted his side, although they are making easy yardage out of the dummy half area, to play right on that advantage line. He said he wants more urgency in their kicking game. He thinks they've been pretty flat in the first half. They've got to be first foot to the ball. There's a few errors around the Auckland players, always trying to offload the football, so a little bit of urgency around that loose ball on the ground.
Cronulla 15 metres out. Errors inside their own half, Auckland proving costly. There's Gavin Jones. Now 5 metres out from the line. Fisher. Away now with Cairns. On for Wrigley. Run around with Cairns. Now the ball is with Cope. Wrapped up in the tackle of the 5'8" Shane Endicott. Boughton a dummy half. Working here for Pearce. 5 tackles up for Cronulla. They've all been inside the Warriors 20. Cairns. He bombs now. This is for the wing of Iva Rapati. It might be too deep. It is. Only just. We'll come back to 20. The Warriors with a restart. Let's get the Auckland view of things from half-time. Gary Belcher.
Yeah, some of the Auckland players said they really felt like they hadn't even played a half of football. They just couldn't get into the match. So Frank Endicott told them they needed some continuity just to play it really simple. Go forward, look for some yards, and obviously that paid off very early in the half. He wants them to cut out the push passes. They really are trying to push passes that aren't on.
The Warriors have done well in this set of 6. Now inside Sharks territory. Strauss made a tackle there on Hanari. And now Malem able to offload for Whittaker. The pass has gone past Endicott, also to Tupu, then missed by Rapati. And somehow Auckland get play to continue out of that when 3 players had blundered. Murray on the last tackle, the left footer, able to position and find space. Howland is forced in goal. This is Howland. First man up there is Stellati, and Stellati makes the tackle. He's getting prayer by the second. In fact, the rain has started now, so Paddy Horton's weather mail was spot on. But the day he's reading the weather in the 6 o'clock news is the day I'll turn it right up. Penalty here to the Cronulla Sharks.
Thanks, Brian.
It's 30 metres out from their own line. So the Warriors getting themselves into a good position, but again coming up with an error, this time in the form of a penalty. The set of 6 will start it just inside Warriors territory. With Paul Fisher. Now away, Cope. Oh, he was taken high over the top. Arm from Chumavavi. Now Fisher. Switching back here to the halfback Cairns, taken by his opposite Whittaker. Samet. Gavin Jones now. Now 30 metres out from the Auckland Warriors line. Fisher away with Cairns. Now on Wrigley. Wrigley. Wider there for Strauss. Able to offload. It was a good pass back for Kurt Wrigley. 15 metres out from the line. It is so dark here now at the stadium. Inside ball, and there's a chance for Cronulla. Fisher can't handle. And pulled in there by Nigel Vagana. So the Warriors have it. Now Stellati coming away from the line. The interstate viewers who would have tuned into the AFL yesterday. The story was rain all day in Sydney yesterday afternoon. It was grey for the Swans in Melbourne. It was grey in Sydney. We're about to get another dose of it right now.
Yeah, it's become quite dark. It's very windy. The lights have come on now at the SFS Balloons are going all over the place.
That's why you're getting the big bucks, Paul. Beautiful summation of the scene here at the stadium.
Oh,
The big
especially
buck, you mean?
The balloons bit.
The people on the edge of their seats at home in response to that. It's now the Sharks. Howland. Just over the 20-metre line. This is daylight. The Sharks almost an error. Left poster there, bouncing down the left side. We're told there's lightning coming. The wind has picked up. Now the Sharks, this is coming into what is almost a cyclone, it appears.
And in these conditions, it is even more important for the sides to watch their ball control and be very tough out there. You can see from that kick all over the place.
Well, this is going to bounce the way of the Cronulla Sharks. It's gone past 2 or 3. It's still play on. Almost a chance now away. A second kick from Dykes. And the Warriors come up with a football.
These are tough conditions. The players have to adapt now, shorten the passes up, make sure they don't make mistakes in their own danger area. And the team that comes up with the less errors will win this grand final.
I just might ask the boys down there on the sideline.
Well, we will ask them, but right at the moment they're getting battened down. So Auckland with Hanari. They're 10 metres inside their own half. Malum turning that ball inside. They're on halfway. Now Murray. Kicking again. He's found space between the winger and fullback. This is Howland back. It's a howling wind, I know that, as he's linked up here with Salmon. The rain is pelting down now for this reserve grade grand final. 6-all the score. And this is monsoonal. Well, I can't remember a grand final day like this one. What has happened is now Dykes takes off from dummy half. The wind is coming in at 100 miles an hour. And the Sharks with Cairns, their halfback. He's 25 metres out from the line. And the pitcher really does tell the story. This is incredible what has happened. As now the ball is with Tian Strauss. Play continues for the Cronulla Sharks. But if we have half an hour of this, I'm going home. It comes for Cairns. Last tackle for the Sharks. He kicks through. Murray is back for the Warriors. It goes dead in goal. Well, that helps the Auckland Warriors. We'll take a break. 45th minute, 6-all the score. Have a 6-all scoreline. The Warriors and the Sharks. 24 minutes remaining. And Vagana is with it. Hasn't seen a lot of space, the Warriors centre. 3 tries last week against Brisbane. Stalati with it. There's Chulmavavi kicking high. The wind is blowing it across field. It's well taken by Howland in the conditions. Now passes for Samet.
It really was excellent work from the winger, Brett Howland. Took a tough ball, positioned his support player nicely. Ben Samet, he picked up another 10 metres. Very cool under pressure there. And now Cronulla, 2 tackles into this 6, about to take the ball over halfway. And they do so. Nick Graham. Charge.
35 out from the line. Dykes. Away with Cairns. Back for Dykes. Fed on now. With it is Cope. Nice tackle from Brian Hanari in the centre just when half a gap had appeared. Comes now with Pearce. He's 15 metres out from the Warriors' line. Under normal conditions, a field goal very much the option, but with a swirling breeze, a very tough assignment. As Dykes on the last tackle is trapped in possession.
I got a feeling actually we're looking for a field goal then. Lining up, there's the boys on the sideline. How's it going, boys?
It's beautiful down here. All I can see is light blue socks versus dark blue socks. Who knows who's got the ball?
Oh, hang on, I've burnt myself on the heater up here.
Well, all I've got to say, mate, is I love my job, and Gary Belcher won the toss and he got the umbrella.
Just on that wind, is it favouring either side or is it swirling?
Swirling, as you can imagine, mate.
Okay. Good to see your hair hasn't moved, Gary.
There's the ball back inside. Hang on to blocker, he's the anchor.
Well, they are the kind of passes that cannot be thrown in this game, Andrew. You see possession change over once again in the Auckland half. And really the players are just mentioned earlier, have got to adapt to that.
The Sharks are still prepared to toss this football around at 6-all. Sammet through the centre. He makes 10 metres. Again, they're in position, the Cronulla Sharks. Can they come up with a strike? As Cairns is almost through as Hanari came in. He got past the first man. That was Logan Swan. Dykes. This ball finds Graham stepping. A front rower, Nick Graham. Then back for Wrigley. He was able to get through the first line. Murray was the last line of defence. Dykes, again the last tackle. This time he gets the kick away. Vagana is there for the Warriors. The ball comes loose and Vagana is with it. And he is the man who has forced the knock-on, according to referee Jeffs.
Yeah, I think the tiniest of knock-ons too is the ball came down. It flicked his hand. There's plenty of Cronulla chasers, plenty of Auckland defenders. There's a hand goes out right there. Came off his hand.
Big set of 6 right now. Cronulla to have possession. Rahehe is on the field in 32 for the Warriors. He's packed into the front row of this scrum. The wind has died down. Not so. The rain has canned straight from the scrum base. Wrapped up by Endicott. The Sharks on the attack. Dykes is with it. There's the ball for the try. The Sharks are over. It's Jeff Bell who scores it. It was a great pass, though, from the halfback, Shane Cairns.
And so simple. Beautiful second-man ball. That took out the defenders. And Dykes scores the try. Pass goes across. As we freeze it there, you can see that this Auckland player here takes care of this man. This player is still looking for his outside support player, and the hole opens up in the middle. Gets down low. That was important.
It's a great ball, and the Auckland defence just not reading it. They didn't really have the numbers anyway. So the Auckland mistake, once again, the little knock on. They paid the penalty for it. He's a good player, Jeff Bell.
So Bell, the try scorer, he's had a few problems with injury this year, but when he has filled in first grade, he's certainly done the job on each and every occasion. Donaghy got the edge ahead of him. Donaghy in first grade. Kurt Wrigley. They lead by 4 points. 15 metres in from touch. It does take some time with the kicks, Kurt Wrigley. He did this on the previous 2 kicks. The first one from the sideline, the second one from in front, and this one is unsuccessful as well. So 4 points to difference, the Sharks and the Warriors. Cronulla have possession inside their own 20. Breathing just a little easier. Up now by 4 points. They lead by 6 points nil at half-time as Cope gets the legs moving. Makes 15 metres on the hit-up.
I think he's been the best player in the field, Dion Cope. Constant menace to the defence. Stood out wide in the back line, created an extra man when he's needed, come in close to the ruck to make some solid charges. He's a fine player who will put plenty of pressure on first graders at the Cronulla camp next year.
Now Dykes. Back for Wrigley on the last tackle. Trying to put some pressure on the kicker was Medi Naveo. There's a big kick now. This one doesn't pull up either. So a couple of times that's happened today, and the Warriors have been able to get back to the 20. Now the ball is in their court. They need a little more urgency. Down by 4 points. Rahehe is the man who carries forward for 5 metres. Away for Okasini. Okasini. Up by 3 defenders. The Sharks with their own problems at the moment. I think it was Pearce who was struggling as Hanari just strikes through the gap. Sammet makes the tackle. Well, there was no gap there. He just crashed his way through the wall. Brian Hanari. Whittaker is with it for the Warriors. The pass finds no one. Going back for it was Naveo, and they lose the momentum on the Sharks' 40-metre line. What a bust from Brian Hanari. This is Chumavave kicking. He took the big dive after he kicked, and the pressure is back off the Sharks.
I'm not quite sure whether Hanari took advantage of the fact that Stuart Pearce was in all sorts of trouble for Cronulla but he ran towards where Pearce was and forced his own gap. A little bit of a knock on there from Gavin Jones. Unfortunately for the Warriors, they weren't able to back it up with a good next play. Jones now in away possession, 40 metres out from his own line with that knock on.
Well, what's the story with Pearce, Gary Belcher?
Yeah, a head clash it must have been. He's got blood pouring out of a head cut, and he was a bit wobbly on his feet as well, so he's off the field now getting attention, hoping to get back on.
The Warriors, Endicott for Murray. Endicott the 5'8". In fact, both halves haven't really run the football for the Warriors. Here is Naveo. They're 35 metres out, needing to score next. The Auckland Warriors in their first grand final in the Optus Cup. 30 metres out from the line now. They reached the top 8 in reserve grade last year, but were knocked out in the first week by Penrith. Whittaker turns inside there for Ocassini. He was flat-footed. He's still able to offload in the tackle, but Cronulla showing the desperation. They may have got to the loose ball first. And watch Jeffs, he's ruled a knock-on against Auckland.
Well, first of all, he ruled that Cronulla had the football, and when the Auckland player came up with it, he found a knock-on. Once again, though, it comes back to the Auckland players offloading in situations they don't have to. Once they're, again there, Ocassini didn't have to offload there, could have gone to ground. There's still a few tackles left in there.
Well, I can understand the appeal there from Auckland, because as we described it, if Cronulla did come up with possession, and that was the way Jess ruled, then lost it, well, the knock-on was against the Sharks. So it may have been a rough call against the Warriors. Jess was certainly going back to a 10-metre position for an Auckland defensive line. In the case, the Sharks are with it and making ground. Forrester on in 4 for the Cronulla side. Utility player. This is Graham Rock back in the tackle there of Ocassini. Ocho Ocassini. There's now Samet. Good metres made from dummy half for 10. Last tackle for the Sharks. 25 metres out from the line. Back for Wrigley. Wrigley sends his winger on to chase Daylight, but Murray is across there, very safe. Taken by Bell in the tackle. He's had a good game, the fullback, David Murray. Right now, the Warriors at the wrong end of the field as far as they're concerned. Down by 4. 5 metres out from their own line, and not too many runners either. Lester, the dummy half, was left posted. Now Rahahi over to offload. Inside ball there from Endicott. Warriors side, they'd won 12 straight games heading into the grand final. Cronulla, the minor premiers. In the top 4, they won straight through with 2 matches to the grand final. Murray, the left boot, has picked out Samet on that kick. And Samet's allowed to run 15, almost 20 metres before the line got there. To say for the moment that storm has passed. Just light rain now as Howland goes for 10 metres from dummy half.
Finding very good metres around the dummy half, Cronulla. The players with vision getting in there and taking advantage of some lazy market defence as Gavin Jones takes the ball 15 out. Most numbers to the right, and that's the way they come.
Wrigley dummied inside, then eventually passed. And quick hands there from Fisher. Linking up with Boughton. 5 metres out from the line. It comes now through Cairns, and Cronulla flying through. Oh, that was a big dive for the try line.
Oh, how close did he get?
Incredible play from Matt Daylight.
Here's a nice little kick. It came off boots all over the place. A great pick-up from Daylight, and momentum just carried him short of the line.
I wonder whether, if the Auckland player hadn't have been there, whether it would have taken him across.
I would have for sure.
Yeah, you've got to say David Murray saved a try there. It was better. Good luck more than good management.
The ball on the way through ricocheted off a Warriors leg. And Daylight keeping so low with the challenge as the Warriors now. A risky offload there from Hill. They're just going backwards for a moment as Rahahi is perhaps short of the 30. There's plenty of Warriors forwards, as a matter of fact, walking right now. There's not too many runners there. There's a heap of them to the left of the ruck, and they've come up with a drop ball as a result. Cronulla with a turnover. Bell, the most recent try scorer. Wrapped up there by Logan Swan. Fisher. Well, he's lost the ball. It's back the way of the Warriors. So Auckland, the let off. With it is Naveo. They just need some determined runners right now. Ocassini's looking for a hit-up. He's got what he wants. He bumps away from one Ocassini, forcing the pass back. Naveo. And the Warriors trying to get it going, but it's just not quite coming together since that last Sharks try. Now Leicester on for Hill. Inside the Sharks half, Murray. Still the spark in this Warriors side. They're 35 metres out from the Sharks line, trailing by 4 points. Whittaker throws the pass for Mead. Mead then back for Vagana. Nice exchange from the Warriors. Quick play the ball. It's away with Whittaker. Whittaker for Tutupu. 10 metres out from the line. Last tackle for Whittaker. He chips and chases. Cronulla force it in goal.
And Auckland have shown what they can do when they control the football for 6 tackles. Still adventurous with the football, but they've worked through finally getting some good field position. Tremendous play the ball here from Vagana. The referee in the background actually telling the Cronulla player that he's offside, not to get involved. And the kick at the end was a good one over the top, putting pressure on the Cronulla defence, but also forcing a line drop out.
That's a big drop out, almost finding touch. And the Warriors back with Tutupu, 25 metres out from the Sharks line. This is the time now, the last 10. They trail by 10 points to 6. Leicester. Ocassini. He throws the short pass for Mead. Big front rowers these two. Dallas Mead. They need 3 defenders to stop him. The Warriors now with Leicester. Throws the pass for Murray. A juggle from David Murray, the fullback. And that just took the edge off his run. Cairns made the tackle. Stellardi at dummy half. Here it is with Malem, the front rower. You don't want him as first receiver. And now the last tackle for the Auckland Warriors. Whittaker is in position rather now. Now can he get a kick away for the corner? The kick comes from Naveo. They're charging through on Daylight. Cronulla. They've come up with a football. Matt Daylight. What a take. So 8 to go. We'll take a break at 10-6. They missed out in first grade. Reserve grade, though, might come away with a title. At least that's the way it's looking at 10-6. Now it's Strauss. Again, a no-nonsense performance from Tian Strauss. The second row for the Sharks. Last tackle here for Cronulla. Wrigley puts the kick through. Murray is the last line again, and he's made a mess of that one, David Murray.
Oh, it's bad luck for David Murray because he hasn't made a mistake all day up until right there. He's done some very, very good things today, David Murray. He's been Auckland's best player, very safe. But the wet ball now getting very greasy out there, the pitch.
And he just had a little bit of a look at the Cronulla chasers coming through on him. And that's got to be the prime concern for the Sharks for the remaining 8 minutes of this game, to play good field position.
Cronulla, Wrigley, Bell, a dummy to Samet. They hang off Jeff Bell. He'll go close. Jeff Bell, he gets there. No double movement for mine. Jeff Bell gets his second try. It should be the one that wins them the grand final.
Well, Steve Jackson scored a try in extra time for Canberra here in the top grade a few years ago. It was a similar effort. He just kept going and going. On this occasion, Bell, he's got to beat 3 players, and he's gone from 10 metres out carrying 2 of them. The third comes across, and somehow he still manages to keep the elbow up off the ground and slam the ball down. This will wrap it up for the Sharks.
And this is where the greasy ground actually has helped Jeff Bell, sliding along. A dry ground, he goes straight down, but look at him slide along here. Bang.
Amazing effort. We hate to say it, but it goes back to the David Murray era. He's had such a good game, but then he's come up with a missed tackle as well on Jeff Bell.
Yeah, it can be a cruel game, can't it, rugby league? David Murray has definitely been Auckland's best, and yet it was the rare mistake from him that has given the scrum feed and win to the Sharks, and the resulting try. The Warriors aren't playing well enough to get out of this one in the last 5 minutes. They may well trail by 10 points if this kick from Wrigley is successful.
1 from 3 for Kurt Wrigley. Again, he goes through this routine before a kick. He does have a good think about it. Kurt Wrigley, he's been a straight today though, 1 from 4. 8 points the difference. The Sharks over the Warriors. It's 5.5 remaining, and here's how Jeff Bell got them there.
He's a strong player, Jeff Bell. He's played a lot of reserve grade, but has also been in the top grade on occasions and been impressive. The important thing was that he's able to keep the right elbow off the ground. As soon as it hit the ground, the tackle is completed. While that was in the air, holding the football, the momentum is allowed to take him over the line.
Bell is another one of the Brisbane connection that John Lang brought to the club just a few seasons ago. There's plenty of them. Paul Green the most notable. And first-grade halfback. The Sharks. 15 metres inside their own half. The minor premiers. They've lost only 4 games this season, as opposed to Auckland. Well, Auckland's only lost 5. 2 top 4 sides doing battle in the grand final. Cairns. Away here for Wrigley. The pressure has dropped off the kickers. Murray has turned around back to his own goal line. What can David Murray do from there? 4.5 minutes remaining, and backslammed in the tackle of Andrew Pearce. Now Stellati. Taking off, getting them centre field, but no ground made upfield as Strauss came in with a heavy tackle. Lester away from Mead. The edge has just gone off the Warriors forwards. There's Whittaker. Throws wide now. Vagana picks up Stellati on his outside. They've worked their way to the 30-metre line. Last tackle, says Kelvin Jeffs. It's with Whittaker. Kicking long. Tackle count seemed a little short. As Ben Samet is with it for the Sharks. 15 metres inside his own half. A very safe game from Ben Samet.
It seemed a little short because the Warriors were really struggling to get off their own line. 2 and 3 settlers going up, going nowhere. Eventually on the 4th and 5th tackles, they had to go wide to try and get out that danger area as Daylight, who's been very busy in this game, comes in off his wing to take the ball 35 metres out and continue on to the right.
Andrew Pearce standing and offloading. Good pass, Dykes, and then for Cairns. Stepping in the tackle of Mead, back for Wrigley. 15 metres out from the Warriors' line. It's all Cronulla right now, and really looking for the big finish as Strauss stumbles. 10 metres out from the line. Another chance for the Sharks. It's with Kurt Wrigley. Plenty of time to get the kick in. The pressure is on Rapati. They fly high, and the Sharks have scored, have they? It's gone forward.
No, it came forward off Matt Daylight. He's had a big game, Daylight. He went up for that, actually got to it first. And to find the ball, then went forward to Richardson. It was down off Daylight onto Richardson, but it went forward.
The decision from Jeffs as Murray is caught for the Warriors. Gary on the sideline.
Yeah, the Warriors, I thought a few moments ago, they have been known to come back with a bit of a flourish, and that was the message coming from Stuart Raper. They can score quick tries, but, well, only 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes left. No chance from here, and a great effort by the Sharks.
He must be a coach of a lot of ability, Stuart Raper. This is his 3rd grand final in a row with this Cronulla team for 2 wins, and he must not be far off a first-grade berth, if not at Cronulla, at another club, that's for sure.
Yeah, success is no fluke, is it? As Tupu has one of his rare touches of the football. And we were talking earlier, before this game, having a look at the bench of the Cronulla side with the likes of Adam Dykes and Andrew Pearce, who are such important members of their first-grade Cronulla charge this year. The coach must have been tempted to put them in the starting lineup, but he's obviously thought, well, these other players have got us to the grand final, don't want to disrupt things.
No, that would have done his team the world of good. It's a reward for the players who have been there all season and been consistent for him. Sure, the other players might be better players. They've been in first grade. But, hey, put them on the bench and away we go. And it's been a winning success.
Cronulla now. Start of this set of 6 was a great pickup from Ben Samet from a kick through in these conditions. Now Cope has kicked up the forward charge for the Cronulla pack. Now Cairns. Away for Wrigley. Then on. Fisher was it out wide for the Sharks. In fact, it was the second rower Strauss. Last tackle. This kick. Well, they're testing out the wingers. This time it's Stellati. That one was a little too deep, though. And Stellati gets a chance to run with the football. Wrapped up by Jeff Bell. It's away now, Malum. Lavave trapped. Gallen. Second half to the year for the Warriors as Murray cops a tremendous ball inside, and Vagana is the quickest man on their side. Daylight coming in cover, but Vagana will get there. Well, justice for David Murray, I reckon. A great pass on halfway sent Vagana to the try line. It's too late, but 14-10, the best try of the match.
Great try, wasn't it? And David Murray getting a beautiful ball away to Nigel Vagana, and what speed the big centre has. Look at him accelerate. The big step to beat Samet. Daylight coming from his wing. But Vagana, who's a fine young prospect for the Warriors, gets the last points in this game. And maybe the conversion will be successful, but Cronulla will take it out.
You know what might have been for the Auckland Warriors. It's all over. And Vagana gets a great try for the Warriors off the beautiful David Murray pass, but not good enough. Congratulations all goes to the Sharks from Cronulla. A great victory for them.
There is Nigel Vagana sprinting away to score as Whittaker. He adds another 2, so it'll end up 2 points the difference. With the arms are raised from the Cronulla Sharks, a happy coach Stuart Raper. And the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks come away from season 1996 with another title, albeit the reserve grade grand final victory. 3 tries to 2, 14 points to 12 the score. They were the minor premiers. We had the underdogs winning President's Cup. It's turned around in reserve grade with the minor premiers successful. And now we wait for first grade where the minor premiers Manly take on the underdogs St George. But right now the elation of the Cronulla players. They won the reserve grade title in 1994. We mentioned through the course of the match a number of these players have come up through the ranks for the Sharks. The President's Cup grand finals of the past seasons, 93 and 94. And even Andrew Eddinghausen, their first grade captain, has reason to smile for the Cronulla side. So all happening for the Cronulla Sharks. The countdown is now well and truly on to first grade. St George and Manly will take a break from the Sydney Football Stadium. Reserve grade champions for 96, Cronulla Sutherland.
A very wet Sydney Football Stadium on grand final day. What a downpour that was in the second half of the reserve grade grand final. Eventually taken out by Cronulla, 14 points to 12. And with the presentation, here is Brad Levy.
Cronulla Sutherland has avenged its 1995 reserve grade grand final loss by defeating the Auckland Warriors, who made their grand final debut here at the Sydney Football Stadium. Of course, the Cronulla Sharks taking out the match by 14 points to 12. Cronulla, of course, minor premiers in the reserve grade and twice victorious in the last 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, would you put your hands together for the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, winners of the 1996 reserve grade. On stage to make the presentations is the 1996 Rothmans Medal winner, Jason Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please put your hands together for Jason Taylor.
Thanks, Brad. Firstly, just commiserations to the Auckland side. It's certainly disappointing to get to the grand final and lose, although there's 18 teams who played in the competition who weren't here today, and that was where they all wanted to be out here today playing the game. They didn't get the win, but it's certainly a great effort from a club with such a new situation in the competition as they are. To Cronulla, congratulations. Words can't describe how they must be feeling. With the Bears, we would have loved to have been here today. They're out here. They've come back after losing last year. A great effort. Congratulations to the Cronulla team.
Thank you, Jason. Just before Jason presents the reserve grade trophy to the Sharks, I'm sure you'd like to hear from the runner-up captain, Aaron Whittaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, just like to take this opportunity and thanking Cronulla for the mighty game. I know you hung in there, and obviously you came to win, we came to play. You came away with the cup. It's my boys, so I'm very proud of you. It's very historical for the Auckland Warriors this year. It's only our second year in the Optus Cup, and we can hold ourselves and our heads very high and be proud of our efforts this year. I'd just like to take this opportunity and thanking Frank Endicott, our coach. He's done a mighty job with our boys. Special thanks to Dave Archer from DB, Pete the Mad Butcher, great support all year, and to all our family, friends, wives, girlfriends who have come here today, and to everybody at home in New Zealand, thanks very much for your support, and I'm sorry we couldn't pull it off for you today.
Thank you, Aaron. Aaron Whittaker, ladies and gentlemen, from the Auckland Warriors. We'll now call upon the captain of the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks, Kurt Wrigley.
Thanks for that, Jace. First of all, just commiserations to Auckland. We've had a really tough year. I really want to congratulate the boys today. Like, looking back on the year, I really think we have been the best side over the 10 months or whatever we've been going. And this side, we sort of run a ground mid competition. We lost a few games, but we really got on track. And in the semi-finals, we were really strong and pushed all the way. I'd like to thank Reebok. They've given Cronulla some great support over the years, and I hope to have them on board again soon. And just again, congratulations to the boys, and let's have a great night tonight, eh? Just before I go, just like to send a message out to young Adam Ritson. A lot of the boys here, including myself, have played with Adam, and as everyone knows, he's really doing it tough, and we're all thinking about him. And also like... And I'd also like to say good day from a mate of mine in Toowoomba, Ron Tesma, who's just come out of hospital as well. Thank you.
Nicely done, Kurt, and congratulations to the Cronulla Sutherland side taking out the grand final in the reserve grade. And what a wet second half, very, very difficult conditions, particularly when that storm first hit. The wind was swirling around at a great night, and not any mistakes where you're going to pay dearly for them, weren't you, Peter?
Well, there's no doubt that Cronulla handled the conditions better than their opposition. They were more controlled, more composed. They made less mistakes, and they played good field position in the second half to put themselves in a position to score the winning tries. Jeff Bell got a couple. He was very strong. But I did think Dion Cope was probably their best player. Really worked hard, and Tion Strauss was very good as well. So we see Jason Taylor, this year's Rothmans medalist, handing out the winning trophy to the Cronulla players, and a very well-deserved win, and that will help the disappointment of the Cronulla team going out in first grade last weekend.
Peter, you play one half of football in a grand final in dry conditions. You come out a couple of minutes into the second half and you're in wet conditions. How much do your tactics change in those circumstances?
Well, I guess that it all comes down to the fact that you've got to control the football under any circumstances. And if the rain is about and the ball's a little bit greasier, it does mean that you've probably got to shorten your passing game, and you've got to maybe not throw the pass, whereas in dry conditions you'd let it go. And I do think that Cronulla, they made the better decisions during the second half of football, and Auckland in many ways will look back on it and say, well, gee, we were a long way from playing our best football, and if we could play it over again, we would come up with a different style of performance. They finished the game with a great try. They've got plenty of strike power, but they took away from a lot of that strike power the fact that they weren't prepared to work through their sets of six.
Well, there you are, Cronulla, really happy about their performance today, and why shouldn't they be? Congratulations to them. We've got the big game coming up in a few moments' time. Stay with us, Australia, at the Sydney Football Stadium on Grand Final Day.